You're not stuck because you're lazy. You're stuck because you're running your life like an employee. Now, the wealthy, they don't do that. They run their life like a seven-figure CEO, even if they don't own a business. And today, I'm gonna hand you the playbook because your life is a business. There are departments, there's sales, there's marketing, there's product development, there's operations, but most people, they've never even looked at the org chart. No plan, no leadership, no leverage. They just work harder. They hope that things will magically improve. But that ends today. I'm gonna show you how to take control of your life in the same way a CEO takes control of a company. And it starts by shifting how you think, how you plan, and how you operate. Now, the best part, you can start doing it immediately without quitting your job, without starting a company. Now, real quick, I'm Mark Moss. I've built and exited multiple tech companies, invested through several boom and bust cycles, and today I'm a partner at a leading top Bitcoin venture capital fund. I advise multiple public tech companies, I write the Quantum Wave investment report, and I help investors navigate the biggest shifts in tech and money. And I make these videos to pull back the curtain and share the frameworks that we're using so you can get ahead of the curve. Now, by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly how to build real wealth fast by running your life like a seven-figure CEO, and I'm gonna give you a tool that we built to help you do it step by step. So let's go. All right, we're gonna jump right into this video and show you exactly how you can change your life right now by looking at your life differently. Now, look, whether you're a founder, an entrepreneur, or a W-2 employee, or maybe even a college student, doesn't really matter. It's the mindset that you're having. So you can be a high-powered CEO or a founder or an entrepreneur, but still have an employee mindset. You could also be an employee, but have a CEO or founder mindset. So let's change this for you. Right now, most people, unfortunately, are living like an employee, with the employee mindset. I'm gonna show you how to fix that. Now, what does that mean? Well, most people operate their lives reactively, or I would say passively. Like, whatever happens, right? I guess I'm just kind of rolling with the punches, and like I'm working this job and maybe someone gives me a better offer, so I'm reacting to what happens, or I'm passively living my life like an employee. An employee is just waiting for their boss to give them the next assignment, waiting for their boss to tell them what's next. And so most of us think about life or actually live our life like that. And when we live our life like that, like this employee reactively, we have no leverage. As an employee, you have no leverage. As a business owner, you can hire people, you can do things, right? But as an employee, you don't have any leverage over the business. You have no systems in your life. You have no long-term thinking because I'm just doing the job that my boss gives me. I'm doing the assignment. Maybe at some point they might ask me to do a different job. We'll see. I don't really know. And so we don't have this long-term thinking. Now, part of this is also being this employee. You grind, right? You're working your 40 hours. Maybe you're working overtime. You're working your 50 hours. You burn out and you stay stuck in the same income time trap if you're an employee. But if we run our life like an employee, a lot of times we're in the same boat, even if we're a business owner or a founder. Remember, this isn't about how much money we're making. It's about the mindset that we have. The good news is there's an easy way to fix this. But imagine if your life was like a company. So imagine you're the CEO of your own life. And if your life was a company and you were the CEO of it, which of course you are, would you invest into it? Or would you fire yourself? Now, I have a venture capital fund. We invest into early stage companies. And what we typically do is we're betting on the jockey, not the horse. That means I'm betting on the person, I'm betting on the founder. If this founder is passionate and they have the right attributes where I know they're gonna figure it out, they're gonna be successful no matter what, we'll invest in them. But they could have the best idea in the world, and if we don't believe in the founder, we won't invest. And so, back to you, if you are, which you are, the CEO of your own life, would you bet on you? Would you invest in you? Are you running your life like the best CEO, or would you fire yourself and get a new CEO? What does that even mean? Well, let's take a look at it. So what does a CEO of a company do? And I like to use the word CEO in this instance, not founder, because a founder is like, I'm an entrepreneur, I have a small business, something like that. A CEO is a little bit different. The CEO shift. If I think like a CEO, the CEO is responsible for the vision of the company. They're responsible for the plan, right? They have to lead this. They have to optimize the business. So the CEO has to have the vision, the plan. They have to recruit the right players, and they have to lead this company to the promised land. They have to lead the company to fulfill the vision that they have. We'll talk about your life, how that applies, but think about that. A CEO also, you focus on ROI. The CEO is responsible for the revenue of the business, but also the net profit, right? That's what's going to move the stock. That's what's going to move their dividends that they're going to receive or their bonuses that they're going to receive. So they're not thinking about how hard people are working. They're thinking about the end result. They're thinking about how much profit. The CEO is going to try to build systems so the business can scale without them. The CEO is not going to do every single job themselves. They're going to think about, how do we make things more efficient? How do we bring in AI? How do we bring in automation tools so we can have less labor so we can be more profitable? These are the things that a CEO would do. Now, how could you do that in your own life? Well, let's break this down. Real quick, if you want to just map this out real quickly, I have a tool that I use in one of my coaching programs, and it runs you through a questionnaire, and it spits out a graph, and it shows you exactly what constraints you have and where you should probably work first if you're a CEO. We'll link to it. It's completely free. I'll put a link down below. Go through the test at your own time, just so you can see what these constraints are. If you'd like to learn how and use it better, next week I'm going to do a live workshop. We'll run through actually a couple tools that I have, and I'll show you how to install this in your own life if you want. We'll do live Q&A. You can ask any questions. We'll talk about how to install in your life. We'll put a link to that down below if you want to come hang out next week for free. But let's break down exactly what I mean. So if we look at a CEO, think about this. Through a company, not a founder, not a solopreneur, but a CEO. You would be in charge of sales, right? So sales is the revenue of the company, right? I need to get the sales up. Every single quarter, the sales number should go higher and higher and higher. Who are my customers? What are the products that we're selling? What are the prices that we charge? How do we get the sales up? As a CEO, I have to think about the marketing department. What is our brand? What is our image? What does the market think about what we're doing? How many leads are we getting in, right? So I have to think about that if I'm driving business. I have to think about research and development. If I want my sales to go up, we need to be researching new products. We have to be learning new things. We have to be developing new skills so that I can move these new things into sales and I can keep the sales going up. I have to think about operations. How do we get our operations to run more efficiently? What are our systems, right? All these things. How do we look at reports? How do we look at data? How do we improve off of operations? HR, right? I have to think about the team that I've assembled. And how do we manage the team? How do we work with the team? How do we recruit the best team? So I have to think about that. If I'm a CEO, I have to think about the strategy. What's the strategy of the company? Where are we even trying to go? What's the ultimate vision? Why do we want that? Over what time frame? Think about the strategy. And then I have to think about risk. So what happens if the market turns against us? What happens if our treasury assets go down? What happens if our largest customer cancels on us? So I have to think about the risk. So whether you're an employee or not, we should be thinking about our life the exact same way. So let me break this down. So for example, I'll put the org chart up here, but let's say strategy. So as a CEO, you're responsible for the strategy of the company, but as the CEO of your own life, you're also responsible for that. What are your life goals? What are you trying to do specifically? Not broadly, oh, I want to be rich. No. I want to build a company. No. Like specifically. I want a world-class team. What's a world-class team? What would the team have to do regularly or look like for you to say that they're world-class? So I have to have the life goals. I have to have a vision. I have to have a direction. Just like the CEO sets the direction for the company, you need to be a CEO of your life and set that direction and the goals. Number 2, sales. The CEO is responsible for sales. We have to get the sales up every single quarter. So what are you doing as the CEO of your own life to get your income up? I have a job. That's my customer. The job is my customer. Do I only have one customer? Should I have more customers? Should I find higher value customers? So what am I doing to generate the income? Through my job, my business, maybe I have side hustles. So I have to drive the revenue. Number 2 or 3, I have to have marketing. So what does the market think about my brand? Do I have a good reputation, a bad reputation? Am I responsible for setting the reputation of what the world thinks about me? Or am I being passive and it's just being created? It's not about being a personal brand. It's not about being a creator. I don't care if you have 50 or 100 followers on Instagram or whatever. You're responsible for what that brand is saying about you. What does Nike stand for? What does McDonald's stand for? What do you stand for? Now, R&D. So as a CEO of a company, I want to make sure that my R&D department is constantly learning new things, trying to come up with new products so I can get those to the sales department so we can bring up our revenue. As a CEO of your own life, what are you doing for R&D? What are you researching? What skills are you developing? Are you skill building? Are you learning? Are you experimenting? Because if I want to get my revenue up, I have to learn new skills. I have to develop new skills so I can take those new developed skills to the market and bring my revenue up. I have to have operations. As a CEO of a business, I have to think about my operations. As a CEO of your life, you have to have operations. So what are your daily habits? What are the daily non-negotiables that you'll do to make sure to guarantee your end result? What are the systems that you follow? What are your routines that you have every day? If I'm a CEO of a business and my operations, we create what's called standard operating procedures. So people in the business will do the same thing, the same way, over and over and over, so we drive operational efficiency and excellence. But in your own life, the CEO of your own life, do you have SOPs? The definition of insanity from Einstein is that insanity is doing the same thing but expecting different results. Well, the opposite of that would be sane. Do you want to be sane or insane? Sane would be doing the same thing so I could receive the same result. But how many of those are you doing? We want to have finance. So obviously as CEO of a business, I want to make sure that we're managing our money properly, we're paying our bills on time, we're not going broke, things like that. But as your own CEO of your own life, you have the same thing: budgeting, investing, taxes. You need to be thinking about those things. HR, obviously as CEO of a company, I have to hire the right people. But as a HR of your own life, what are you doing about your own mentorship? Who are your mentors? Who are you learning from? Who's on your team? Who's your CPA? Who's your tax strategist? Who's your attorney? You have to think about it the same way. Risk. So as CEO of a business, I have to think about the risk. But CEO of your own life, same thing. What about your health? What about your insurance? What about your backup plan? And so you have to start thinking about each of these areas, even of your own life. A lot of people have these dreams of being a business owner one day, and you're going to take on all this responsibility, but have you even taken it on for your own life? And if the answer is no, how do you expect it to grow? How would a CEO expect his business to grow if he didn't think about each one of those areas? Okay, now we have a 3-step framework to make this really easy for you. So we don't need to go that broad. We don't need to think about 9 different departments. Let's think about it through 3 different lenses. Okay, so number 1, I teach a process called ROM, R-O-M, reclaim, optimize, and multiply. So in the reclaim process, we want to put our CEO hat on at this point. We want to think strategy. So where is my time going to be best spent? I have to think about resource allocation. Where is my energy? Where is the vision of the company? So in the reclaim section, we want to just think about those couple things. We don't have to think so broad about our own life, just those things. Number 2, then we want to start to optimize things. So now we know where we want to go, and we know we're going there in the most efficient way. So optimize, this is the operations and finance of the business. So now optimize operations of our own life. What are we doing with our income? Do we have our income structured properly? Or have we done everything we need to do to get our taxes down? Most people are overpaying taxes 20 to 30%. What are we doing with our accounts? Do we have our accounts all being moved automated? So our taxes are going here, our profits are going here, our savings are going here, things like that. What about our life, things like that? And then third, we want to then think about multiplying. And this would be our CFO hat, right? What are we doing with our investments? What are we doing to get leverage? What are we doing to speed up the velocity of our money? Assets, stacking, and velocity. It's a 3-step framework if you want to do that. But ultimately, as the CEO of a business or corporation, or the CEO of your own life, you are responsible for the vision. Where you're going, how you're going to get there, what the steps will be, how you get there. And most importantly, here's what I'll just leave you with. The CEO of a business, or the founder of a business, entrepreneur, or of your own life, you want to think about what are your constraints. For example, I have a car manufacturing facility, and I can make 10 frames per week. I can make 10 sets of wheels per week. I can make 10 steering wheels per week. I can make 6 engines per week. Which area should I focus on in the business? Well, I should probably get to 10 engines a week so I can put out 10 cars. So we want to identify what are the constraints in your own life, the CEO of your own life, that are holding you back. Work on that first so you can bring the whole level up. Now, I mentioned earlier, I do have a tool that makes this super easy. It's a set of questions, and it spits it out into a graphic, and it'll show you exactly where your constraint is that you should be working on. So if you want to do that, it's completely free. I call it the Personal Performance Review, the CEO style. So I'll put a link down below. Download it for free. We'll put a QR code on the screen. And if you want to come hang out and learn this whole system, I'm going to do a whole workshop presentation on it. It's all free. I'll give you a bunch of tools there, and we'll do a live Q&A so we can talk about how to apply it to your own specific examples. All right, but that's how we do that. If you want to up-level your life, you have to think like a CEO, take control of it, be the visionary, and lead it. And if you want to learn more about that, you might want to watch this video right here. And that's what I got, right? To your success. I'm out.